Welcome back to the lab. Well, as you might imagine, the Canadian military has to monitor a lot of information, constantly scanning the airwaves for things that could be of importance to national security. Duncan Eyre is here. He's in charge, manager of Internet Communications and Media Monitoring for the Maritime Forces Pacific and Joint Task Force, Pacific Department of National Defense.
Thank you, Laura.
Is that MAR-4, PAC, Joy 4, or is that only a U.S. thing that we
Very
do?
close. It's MARPAC and JTFP.
I knew it. You got to acronymize it.
You have to.
Acronymize it, or what good is it? So this is interesting because you're a civilian working in this position. How come they don't use a military
The military people get posted out every once in a while, so there would be a lot of changeover and a lot of corporate knowledge that they would lose by having a military person there.
And your background is in IT and this kind of thing.
That's correct. I'm a computer geek.
Yeah, and proud of it. And
Very
I like
proud.
that. So tell me, when you first got there, what was the assignment? What did they want you to do?
The assignment when I first got there was to be the tech, go around, fix computers.
Right.
And as I was doing that, they needed a webmaster, so I did that half-time.
Oh, that's cool.
Fix computers the other half-time, and they realized that didn't work. So they brought me in to be full-time webmaster for Maritime Forces Pacific. After that, because we sent out a lot of information, we also were able to bring in a lot of information. So it changed from just being a webmaster to going into media monitoring with websites, and then it became TV, radio, and all the other assorted media that's out there.
And what are you monitoring for? What are you looking for?
It ranges from a whole bunch of information about what we would be interested in, from what's happening with the province, emergency situations, floods, forest fires. We also look at what's happening with the government, what's happening with military, the stories that the media progresses on.
Right. It's just another source of information for you. It's not your only source. I want to emphasize this. They're not just watching TV to find out what's going on. But certainly, I mean, that's an important and a valuable information.
It's another source of information to make the proper decisions.
What I thought was really interesting is a lot of what you use is the same stuff we at home could use.
It's all off the shelf.
There's no special fancy stuff here.
Zero.
Now, there's some fanciness. For instance, this Medusa. Now, you built this yourself,
yes.
right? Tell us a little bit about Medusa.
Well, we looked at what we had to do. We had to record 5 channels simultaneously. And we used to have 5 different computers that would record. So we thought, a little bit energy efficient, a little bit green. We'll go with one computer, put 5 video capture cards in.
That's 5 cards in there, folks.
That's 5 cards, with each one with a cable into it.
Wow.
We can record 5 channels simultaneously with no degradation.
That's pretty amazing. What kind of cards are they?
They're, I think
it's
it's ATI.
You've got to buy Canadian.
Yes.
I mean, you can't use NVIDIA. You've got to use ATI.
Got to go with the Canadian
And they're
flag.
the best capture cards anyway, so it's okay. How do you make is it Windows?
It is Windows.
How do you make How can Windows handle? I didn't know Windows could handle 5 video cards.
Apparently it can, but we also it was a lot of trial and error. But we found a website that also had done it, so we were able to follow their lead.
And it keeps up with all 5.
All 5.
That's kind of neat.
It is.
So you have essentially 5 different. Are you recording all the time?
Almost all the time. We do about 54 hours a day of recorded media.
Wow, that's a lot. That's amazing. And here's one of your setups here. And this is an example. This actually looks somewhat like my home.
Yes.
You've got an HD TV, an LG HD TV.
Yes.
Looks like a cable box below that.
Cable box, standard, which you can get from any cable company. Below that is a DVD with a VCR, so it can go DVD to VCR or VCR to DVD.
Very useful.
Also, it plugs into one of our computers, so we can capture a DVD or a VHS tape.
Right.
And below that is a PAL NTSC VHS
Does
box.
the Admiral prefer DVD or VHS?
The Admiral prefers actually it to be on the computer.
He actually watches on the computer?
Yes.
Interesting.
Everything we do, we capture and bring onto the computer.
So it's on the network, available to anybody who's on the network. They can watch that at any time?
That's correct.
Isn't that cool?
And not just on our base, we actually have the ability to send it anywhere in the world.
Wow. Will they watch it streaming from the website, essentially? Or
they will download it just to make it easier.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what file formats are you using?
We're using WMV as our main one. It's corporate security-wise.
Because it's Windows and you want to make sure everything's Windows compatible.
Right.
You also do radio, though.
Yes.
And tell me about the radio feed.
Well, we have 2 that we use. We, of course, have the Radio Shark. So
this surprises me. This is a Griffin product.
Yes.
And I think it's a cool product.
I was walking through the store one day and saw it and went, what's this? Took a look at it.
It's a little shark fin. It's an antenna.
Everybody looks at it when they come in the office. It's because it glows either blue if it's just sitting there or red if it's recording. And everybody looks going, what's this?
Right.
And it's actually just plugs into the computer, and we can schedule recording. We can record live if we need to. And
just the civilian bands, though, right?
Yes.
Do you have a separate receiver for the military bands and the public safety bands, things
we
like
don't
that?
record that. That's
you don't
other
do
people.
that?
Yes.
Somebody else.
Somebody else in
in a secure facility deep within a mountain does all of that.
Exactly.
That's very cool. So what do you watch? You watch news channels?
News. We watch news, some documentaries that may have military aspects to it.
Right.
But mostly it's news. All the big channels, all the 24/7 channels, they're on all the time in our office.
And is there a department of analysts that are looking at this, or is it just there in case you need it?
It's there in case we need it.
So nobody's really kind of combing through this, but they'll say, hey, we got a problem here, and now you have access to all that information.
Right. Oh, the overnight stuff we do monitor and clip out clips that are of interest and
neat.
send them off. The other time, we watch full-time the news during the day, and we can automatically record with one button, capture it, put it into a format, and put it off to the network.
Are you using Windows Media Center? What are you using?
No, we're using standard Windows with an ATI video capture.
Just their own capture software?
Yes.
And when it comes to editing, what are you using?
We're using Pinnacle.
Pinnacle Systems.
Studio 9, in fact.
Yeah. Studio 9's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And nice and quick and easy.
Don't go to 10. It gets a little crashy.
No. We heard about that.
He knows that.
Yes. Everything is made simple. So if I get hit by a bus, the next person in there can just walk in and go.
And you're not going to go to Vista, probably.
No.
Because you've got it. It's working now. Why mess with it, right?
Exactly. It's working perfectly. It's doing what we want. We don't need to mess.
Same reason you don't upgrade to Studio 10. If 9's working,
it's working.
The workflow's working and doing what you want. You don't have to worry about it. How about security? These things are out on the net publicly, yes?
No, everything that we capture goes internally.
So there's no exposure to spyware, viruses, or anything?
No. And plus, because of copyright rules, we only have to use it internally. We cannot let it out to the public.
That makes sense. Duncan Ayres, Manager of Internet Communications and Media Monitoring for MARPAC.
MARPAC.
Oh, well.
Close.
For MARPAC, JTFPD, ND.
DND.
I got it close anyway.
Very close.
It's great. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
A geek in charge of the whole military. Or his own little area. But anyway, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in, Duncan. I really appreciate it. Now.